And for young people, this was very much about class, about contamination, about the politics of who's safe and who's not in America today. And they created a very, very powerful video using hip hop that translated Poe's story from the 19th century into a story of very contemporary society and how young people in especially the Latino neighborhoods in the United States are at risk from a variety of causes that richer kids are protected from.
In addition to the use of communications media and the digital world in education, audiovisual literacy is another important main area of work developed by Jenkins.
So that was a process of taking literature and playing with it, not seeing literature as something we simply critique or interpret, but as literature as a starting point for our own creative activities. And that's very much what we mean when we talk about bringing play into the schools. I think ultimately it's about citizens. I think ultimately participatory culture is about moving us from being consumers of culture other people have produced to being full participants in the media environment. Now the word citizens is very loaded right now in the American context because some of the most innovative users of new media are not citizens. We've been doing work at USC on the Dream Activists. These are young people who are undocumented immigrants in the United States, many of them coming from Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America and Central America. And they're fighting for their rights to become citizens. They're fighting for their rights to education in the United States. Many of them don't have access to digital media at home. They're using school libraries and public libraries to have access to media. But they, in fact, have been incredibly innovative in their use of this technology. They're using YouTube to look directly into the camera and come out as undocumented. They're tired of hiding in the shadows, and they're speaking directly to the Americans about the experience of being undocumented through YouTube.
Él está desde el 22 de abril de 2012.
¿Cuántos hijos tiene usted?
Él tiene 3, tenemos 3 hijos. Yo estoy aquí con el objetivo que apoyarlos a todos los que están ahí en la cárcel para que los dejen libres y apoyarlos.
They're using blogs, they're using cartoons, they're using webcast and Twitter to get their story out. In some cases, they take real risks. Some of them are being deported because they outed themselves through social media and told their story online. But as they're deported from the country, they're still tweeting and telling their story. They're refusing to go quietly into the night. So for them, it's citizen, yes, a struggle for citizenship. But new media is a tool that they're using to assert their claim to become citizen in powerful new ways.
This is the construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
Right now, we're inside a computer program?
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
In the words of Jenkins, this is a time of transition, a time in which the old system is dying and the new media is at its advent. The possibilities are endless, and if we have reason to be concerned, we also have cause to be enthusiastic about the future.
30 to 40 group, take your places, please. Right. Let's see which one of us can touch his toes. Right over from the hips, brothers and sisters, please. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Smith? 6079 Smith W. Yes, you. Bend lower. You're not trying. Watch me. There, brother. That's what I want. Anyone under 45 is perfectly capable of touching his toes. I'm 39 and I've had 4 children. We don't all have the privilege of fighting in the front line. Remember our boys on the Malabar front. Just think what they have to put up with.
If Orwell imagined in 1984 a world where Big Brother was watching us through an infinite network of cameras, reality has proved that in fact it is we who watch over Big Brother. It is we who build a type of collective intelligence by the way we participate and communicate using the different sources of media available to us.
I'm an American, so for me, most of the future is a really exciting place. Traveling through Europe, I know that there's a tension between looking backwards and looking forwards. As an American, I'm trained to be optimistic, right? So for me, I look toward the future as a space where change is possible. I see myself as a critical utopian. People often think utopians are naive. We believe we live in the best of possible worlds. I don't believe that. If we go back to Thomas More, a utopia was no place. It was an impossible place. It was an ideal. But the point of utopia is we imagine a better future, and then we use that as a yardstick against which to judge the present. We know what we're fighting for, and therefore we can understand more fully what we're fighting against. So I'm optimistic in the sense that I believe it is possible to win a struggle to build a more democratic society. And I know what a positive outcome would look like. For me, that's about bridging and extending participatory culture until everyone has the ability to participate in the core conversations of their society. And I look backwards then at where we're at and say, what's preventing us from achieving that? What blocks our paths? What do we have to overcome in order to get there?
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
So being raised in Atlanta and watching Martin Luther King, in his I Have a Dream speech, he says, I have a dream of a better society. And he doesn't say, we'd sit back, do nothing, we'll get there, right? Technology will free us. That's not what Martin Luther King said. He says, I have a better society, let's fight to get there. He also doesn't say, it's impossible, you're already screwed. Capitalism is always going to win. There's no possibility of changing anything. He says, we can change the world if we work together. So from there, King is able to say, this is the problem. Segregation is the problem. Segregated schools is the problem. The class structure of an American society is a problem. How do we then build a plan to overcome it? And so for me, the future is something you build toward, something you work to achieve, not either a fantasy that we imagine will happen no matter what we do, or a fear that something bad is going to happen no matter what we do. It's the sort of optimism leads to complacency often, and skepticism leads to cynicism often. But in the middle between the two is what I call critical utopianism, which is the capacity to use our ability to imagine a better world to critique the society we're living in now and to forge plans that allow us to change the society to something we think better serve the needs of citizens.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.